Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to show you a quick preview, a sneak peek at my newest project, which is something I wanted to do, was kind of build a gun that was be similar to a Staccato XC in performance, or an Atlas Erebus in performance, for basically under $2. So that being said, it's kind of hard to do. I don't like saying the full price because YouTube don't like that, but I'm trying to build it for under $2, and this is what we got so far. Forgive the background noise. My kids are watching TV downstairs. My wife's listening to music. So if you hear stuff in the background, I apologize for that. I'll try to keep talking so that I can kind of mask some of that going on in the background. But unfortunately, we live in our houses and we can't always, dedicate the whole house to us making a video, right guys? Anyway, what I've done is I've ported this already comped Prodigy, barrel comped Prodigy, and I know these comps don't have quite the performance of a standard comp like an XC comp, but they do have better than a lot of barrel comps because they actually mill out inside the barrel to cause there to be a real chamber in there, and that does make a big difference, and that's what makes a compensator, in my opinion, instead of a port. In order to have a compensator, you have to have a chamber that's opened up further than the dimensions of the barrel itself. So if you just cut a hole in the top, that's a port. But I feel like this is sort of in between a port and a comp because it is opened up in the barrel itself, causing there to be some kind of chamber where gases can be caught, and that's important for muzzle flip reduction and kind of recoil reduction in a pistol like this. So that's important. Let me go ahead and tell you right up front, we've done several things and we're only halfway through with this project. The red dot's going to change, but it's kind of on back order, so we're waiting on it. We probably are going to change the grip to an Icarus Precision grip as well. I'm probably going to change the slide release, and we'll go into that in a minute. The trigger's going to be changed. So there's several more changes to go, but I wanted to get it to where, I liked it, and it kind of, was pretty much going to resemble the final product, so I could play with it a little bit. And guys, I want to tell you right off the bat, this gun has been kind of frustrating. I'm going to be honest with you. I've watched a ton of videos of YouTubers early on having issues with failure to feeds and failure to go into battery and failure to extract and getting caught on the disconnector and things like that. And I knew very well what I might be getting into. I even mentioned to my friends, should I do it? I don't even know if I should do this because, Prodigies are known for problems. And I thought, well, this is the comp version. They started making this more recent. This is not the first batch of comps, so I thought, surely they've worked out the issues. Got the gun in. Only shot about 8 rounds through it, but out of maybe 3 out of every of those 8 rounds, let's just say that way, 3 out of those 8 rounds had failures to go into battery because it's just like it was grinding trying to go into battery. And I think that's absolutely absurd for a gun that's been out for more than like a year. It's absurd that they're still having problems where they're not tuning their guns or using the correct parts that will actually allow this gun to be functional right out of the box. Sure, maybe I got a worse model than some of the other guys. If you bought one, you might get one that works perfectly, but out of the box, if you want to grab a gun out of the box and buy a gun out of the box over $1,000, that's MSRP, and it don't work, out of the box. If you're somebody that wants to grab one, 2011, I would highly suggest you going with a TSOS or Mac, made by the same company as TSOS, because I feel like I've worked on 2 of those, and this gun has been a nightmare compared to the TSOS versions. So, and it's more expensive. This is more expensive and been a nightmare compared to TSOS. I hate to say that because I am a YouTuber, and being a YouTuber, you don't want to bash certain guns or bash certain companies, and I'm not, because I'm a Springfield fan. Believe it or not, I'm actually a Springfield fan. Most people are not. I actually have had an XD was one of my first guns, and I know a lot of people can't stand the XD, but I actually like the XD, so I'm not against Springfield at all. I like Springfield. I know they've made some weird political moves in the past and said some weird things, but I don't think it's the people working there. I think it's some of the people they had running their marketing and stuff has said some stupid things. But that's not a problem to me so much. I think most of that's been straightened out anyway. But I like Springfield. I'm just letting you know that. And this gun has been pretty much a nightmare because I know 2011s pretty well. And I was able to get this thing, the slide just runs smooth as butter. I was able to, the slide is just, you know, it was just real easy to get it to where the slide runs really good, where, you know, it comes out of battery real good. I mean, you can pull that trigger, that hammer back real easy. Slide goes back in the battery real smooth. But I tell you what the issue mostly is the extractor was way too heavy on the brass. It was pushing way too hard against the brass, and I had the hardest time trying to get it just right because I didn't want to overdo it. Obviously, I didn't want to go way past and get it way too light, so I had to adjust and adjust and adjust and try to polish. And see, guys, I'm not one of these people that want to go out, call it just the gunsmith in me, I guess. I don't want to just go out and shoot 400 rounds through it until it works and then be like, oh, it's working now, it's good. And I know some people, I'm fine with that. I know some guns need a break-in period, but I'm kind of like the person that wants to find the problem and address it and understand the problem. So when I have a few failures to go into battery, I'm going to take it up, take it apart, look at it, maybe cycle some dummy rounds through it and just see what's going on. And I kept getting that grind, and it's still there to a certain extent. When the round comes up into the extractor here, that's the ejector on the bottom, and then up on top's the extractor. When the round comes into that extractor, it just wants to kind of grind, and it comes up from the magazine as it slides into battery, and that round comes up under the extractor, and it was just kind of grinding up through there. And I polished and I cleaned and I tuned, and I even took some metal off the bottom and contoured the extractor, and it's still kind of there. But I'm going to try to give it some time to break in a little bit, even though I did get it to finally run. Now, to be fair, guys, I am saying this gun's only had like 50 rounds through it, so I wanted to fix the problem before I run 500 rounds and not know what the problem was. I kind of wanted to know what it was, you know, what was going on. Why was it doing this? And I just kept tuning and tuning and tuning the extractor, and I finally got it to run a few rounds in a row. And that's when I made the video. I was like, I really do not want to make a video before I can get this gun to even run. And I know a lot of people are going to say, and I think I've already said it, but they're going to say, well, you ported it, and it's already got a big port, and that's the reason why it wasn't going into battery. Well, that's not true, because I shot this stock before I did anything else. I shot about 8 rounds through it, 9 rounds through it, and like 4 out of them 8 did not want to go into battery all the way. And that was with stock springs, everything. You know, I have since tuned it and cleaned it up, polished it, kind of gave it I gave it kind of a halfway trigger job. I've got to do another one when I get the other trigger, so I just didn't want to play with it and try it out without, you know, with the stock trigger, because it was just so rough, and I'm so used to having a decent trigger. This is about 3.5 pounds right now, trigger wise. So I just checked it a while ago on the trigger gauge. So 3.5 pound trigger. I will get it lighter than that once we get the other trigger shoe in, but for now that'll be okay. I thought I better run a few rounds through it anyway before I get it too light. So it's important not to go, when a gun's got less than 100 rounds through it, it's not good to go do a trigger job on it and get it down to 2 pounds with a less than 100 rounds, because it needs to break in first, and then you do a good trigger job on it. So I do think that is very important, because it will get lighter, right? So this is a sneak peek. I did add the mag well for a little flare, even though we're not using this grip. This mag well will go on the Icarus if it fits. I hope it does fit on that Icarus. I think it will. This is a Masterpiece magwell, but it should be the same as a Dawson Precision in dimensions, so that should work. Like I said, we're getting another trigger shoe. I'm trying to keep the parts factory as much as possible. This right here, well, I'm going to tell you some negatives about it. The number one negative was it didn't work, right, guys? I mean, that's always going to be the number one negative. And this is just a sneak peek, but I'm just going to tell you, it had several problems. It was hanging on the disconnector slightly, which is not a hard problem to fix for me, but for most people it would be an extremely hard problem. I did fix that fairly quick. That was not a problem. I've done that on most of my guns, is make the disconnector not hang up so bad. So that's not an issue. The extractor problem was just way out of tune, so it was way too stiff. Also, another problem was the screw in the optics plate, even in the original plate that had just the iron sights on it, the screw went down into the extractor, which was also probably causing more problems with the extractor. So I had to file down that screw, and I heard that was a problem a year ago, and I'm like, why didn't Springfield fix that if that was a problem a year ago? Why is it still a problem? It makes no sense to me. Anyway, that's a problem. But then I kept having to relieve tension off of it slightly multiple times to get it to actually run, and it was just kind of a pain. And considering it had multiple problems was kind of the aggravating issue about it. Okay, guys, this grip, although I really like the way it feels, the polymer is kind of cheap. I've noticed it wears pretty easy, and it's not as strong as some polymers. I'd say it's as good as probably the T-Sauce grips, but it's not much better. So I think a staccato grip would be tougher. You would think they would make this just as good as the XDs. I've noticed XDs would hold up pretty good, but I feel like it's not quite as good. It may be the same thing, I don't know, but yeah, I've noticed that it's just not quite as, and you can't really squeeze it or anything. You can't move it. I mean, it's stiff enough not to flex or anything in your hand, but it's still kind of a cheaper plastic. And I guess I'm just getting used to metal with these nicer 2011s, and having a polymer grip is kind of feels a little cheap. Even when I'll say this too, these mag releases were meant for metal. Well, the way they actuate and the way and if you're not careful, I almost damaged this trying to put another mag release in here that barely didn't fit. It didn't damage it. I got it pretty much back to the way it was, but just trying to put a extended mag release in here that was slightly off a little bit, it just almost messed up the polymer on the inside there. And when you put metal on plastic, it just doesn't do very good sometimes. So you have to be very careful about that. And that's one thing I don't like about plastic grips on 2011s, is you got metal working with plastic. And in those cases, you don't want to mess with it a whole lot, because you'll start wearing that plastic out. You start changing a lot of parts out very often, and you'll start wearing the plastic out. So that's just a thought I want to give you guys. As you can see, I had this ported by a local guy that I've had several of my guns ported by. It's really awesome. Those are some very large ports, along with the barrel comp, and I really like it so far. We've not got it tuned perfectly, but we're on our way. Like I said, we're about halfway done with this project. Could I take this right now and shoot at 90 PA? I'm not really ready for that. I don't think it's ready for that, but we're going to run maybe a couple hundred more rounds through it, continue to work on it, tune it, continue to add some parts to it, and I would say, yeah, we'll be ready to go. But like I said, this is not the dot that's going to live on it. This is not the grip that's going to live on it. This is not the trigger shoe that's going to live on it. This is not the slide release that's going to live on it. And while we're talking about slide release, this is one of the most aggravating slide releases. Not because it works, don't get me wrong, it fits and works, but you cannot hardly push it up from the bottom where this plastic is, and this thing just don't stick out at all. Like, I hate to say it, let me see if I can find. So this is a cheap Chinese 1911, and I can actually get to this slide release. It feels like it's sharper on the top, it feels like it sticks out further, and it's bigger on the bottom. This mag release on a Chinese 1911 is a better mag release than they put on the Springfield. I mean, this thing is just almost flat. I mean, there is a ledge, but either way, it's not easy to actuate. If you want to shoot this in IDPA, you're going to have to fix that. I was thinking about that and messing with it, and I was like, man, that's going to be, I'm going to go to do a reload and try to hit that, and it's just going to slip right off and not drop the slide, because, I mean, there's not a lot of grip. I'm not getting a lot of pressure on that thing right now when I'm hitting it with my other hand. So anyway, guys, that's it for now. Just a sneak peek. I hope you like it. I hope y'all continue to watch this as it evolves, and hopefully we can get it ready for the next match. It may not be in its final form by then, but we'll try to get it close and shoot it in the next IDPA match that we shoot. But I've been looking forward to it, but I knew before I bought the Prodigy, I was like, this Prodigy may be a project, a big project. I told my buddy that, and he he remembers me telling him that, and I've been griping about this gun to him, and he was like, well, you did tell me it was going to be a project. And I'm like, well, I didn't expect that kind of project. I didn't expect to have to fix almost everything on the gun to get it to work and feel the way I want it to, considering its price tag. But the goal is to get it under 2. Y'all know what that means. And have a Staccato XC in the performance area, about a Staccato XC or Erebus performance. Is it as tight fit? No. Is it as accurate? Maybe not quite, but in performance and the way it feels and the way it shoots and the way it recoils, we're hoping to get it pretty close to those guns for a lot less, and that was the whole idea behind this one. And I think I'm going to be happy when it's done, but I'm frustrated still. I'm still trying to get over the initial problems. I hope that don't, me talking negative about the gun doesn't get Springfield mad at me, because I would like to one day work with companies and talk about the products, but I always want to be honest, and this one has been kind of a little bit of a letdown, to be honest, especially with my, I like Springfield. With the way I think of Springfield, it makes it even harder because I hate to have a negative outlook on anything. And we talked about it in a video just a few days ago, right before I got this gun, how we don't need to bash companies for one problem. I'm not going to bash Springfield, but I will bash this gun. I will say this gun has been aggravating. But hopefully, if you buy one, yours will be better. But my model was not good, and it will be good when I'm done. Thankfully, I know the platform very well, so it may take a little bit, but I'll get it there. I think it's going to be awesome when it's completed. But yeah, y'all just keep in touch. Y'all keep watching the videos, and we'll try to have more on this gun later on. God bless. Have a great day. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below. Please like and subscribe. One of the reasons why I do projects like this is just to do it so I can show y'all what you can do with certain guns. And I know a lot of you got Prodigies, so I kind of wanted to share this. And we'll give you more what we did when we finish. So I don't want to tell you everything I've done so far, basically, which was just a simple trigger job, a magwell, polished the internals, polished the rails and slide, the frame, ported the gun, changed the recoil spring a little bit. So we've done a lot, but we still got a long ways to go. I will say I was a little bit, my local guy who's a friend of mine, he cut the window, and he has an aluminum press that holds the gun in while he mills it out, and I feel like it damaged the Cerakote. That's another negative I would say about this gun. The Cerakote's kind of weak, and although it really ain't going to look no worse than a little bit of holster wear or whatever, it did scratch the gun a little bit. Like you can see here, it's not, probably shows up better on camera than it does in real life or when you're moving around, but he did scratch the gun a little bit, and I just wanted to kind of let y'all know that the Cerakote's not that great either. But anyway, God bless, have a great day. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment below. It's going to be awesome when it's done, so just keep watching.